Today I'm going to be concentrating on the light in this painting. Hi everyone, this is Steve Elliott. I'm going to be painting in Artrage for the iPad, or on the iPad. I'm doing another autumn scene because, hey, it's autumn and I just can't resist it. This time I'm not so focused on the colour, more about the light with this one, I think. This was a photo I took a couple of weeks ago before the leaves were really changing. So I am going to put a little bit more red and orange in the leaves than are in the photo, but I'm really focused on the light. I begin as always, I get that good old roller brush and get some colour over there. So I felt that the stonework was the sort of dominant colour in this one. So I've kind of used a warm colour to crash that over the painting, and a little bit of a cooler one in the middle, you can see there. And then I changed brushes. I'm using the regular flat brush, and basically brush wise that is it for the whole of this painting. If you want to follow along, I don't change the size of the brush, I don't change the opacity, I don't change the solvents in it or the amount of paint or anything. It's just default 100% brush size, and I work on that through the whole of the painting. I don't change the brush again. I'm telling a lie, I did change it once. I changed it when I signed it. That is the only time I actually changed the brush size. And also I worked in one layer. I am finding with these oil paints, you get a much more convincing, traditional looking oil painting if you can stick to one layer. I know it's a bit daunting, and it's a bit like real painting that you can't move things around so much, so you have to concentrate and try and get them in the right places. But apart from that, you know, it's not a big deal. So I'm kind of conscious that I want to keep the trees on the left different to them on the right. I don't want them all the same colour. So I'm putting a little bit more yellow and green in the ones that are distant. And then I'm going to be putting much more warmer colours in the trees on the right. As you see now, I'm getting some sort of browns in there, and I put some oranges in. So I am sort of changing the palette slightly. I think what's interesting about this is, because this is a painting about light and shade, you'll notice that I've got this dark triangle shape, and which goes across the canvas and then comes down the canvas and then finishes off at the bottom right. And that's kind of sort of marking out those dark shadows, because this painting, what attracted me to, or drew me to want to paint this, is that staircase. When I saw this building, I thought, it's awesome. It's like an old Norman building where you could imagine the people live on the first floor. So we're in the UK, so the first floor is the one above the ground floor. It's the second floor up, not the second floor. It's called the first floor. The first floor is called the ground floor. Well, I can imagine the ground floor, under there would be all the animals and the goats and cows and things that they would keep in this Norman building, and then they would live in the top part of it. So that was the first thing that I liked, the fact that it had got this staircase on the outside of the property going up. And I actually thought that was the way into the building, because I went to a craft fair on this particular day, and it was held in this building. And I saw these steps, and there was a little sign that said open at the bottom of the steps. So I climbed up to the top of the steps, and then the doors bolted. You can't get in. So I sort of sheepishly turned around with everybody looking and walked back down the steps again to find the actual proper entrance. But anyway, so there's, it's the light and the architecture, the actual building style of that building, and the stonework that attracted me to want to paint this. So I'm you see I'm sort of doing this shadowed area on the door to the right of the door, and I kind of get it round my neck a little bit, and I put these rails in. That was just to sort of sketch out that I've got everything pretty much in the right place where I wanted it. And then I'm just going to paint over them and block them out. As I start doing the stonework, they will disappear. And that's a conscious thing. I wasn't worried about that at all. I just felt that I needed them in as a guide. But once I'd started painting the stone, I thought I can paint them in again. It's not a big deal. So I just kept sort of working over that. So here you can see I'm on the roof, not physically on the roof, but I'm painting the roof. Didn't climb up there. Although I have been on a fair few roofs in my time painting gable ends. I used to be a painter and decorator when I was a young man, and I used to work on new houses, and they used to have the houses so close together that you couldn't get a ladder in between them. And we didn't worry about health and safety in those days like they do today. And I used to climb onto the roof of one house and then sit on the end of the roof with my legs dangling over the end, and have my paintbrush tied to a stick and paint the gable end, the barge boards of the house next door. So yeah, that's just a story I thought I'd throw in there. Back to the painting. You see that the stonework, I've got the sort of right hand side of that building in shadow, just simply by taking the colour and making it slightly darker, and then sort of painting that area in, and then painting the stonework into it. So you can see I've started to lose those handrails now, and then I start to look at putting in the other doorways, and I'm sort of picking some radical colours, I suppose, colours that aren't particularly in that building, but I quite like the look of them and the way that they work on here. What is really nice, I've discovered, about using Artrage, if you want to use colours like on this stonework and you want them all to be the same tonal value, you're going to change the colour, but you want the tone to be pretty much the same. So in other words, if you was to convert it to a black and white image, all the colours would look the same amount of grey. If you choose the tone you want by selecting the colour off that sort of graded colour area, and then you can just use the slider or the rainbow effect on the outside with your pen. Just choose the colour you want to start painting, and it's the same tonal value. So that's a really nice feature I'm finding, because I'm making, the more painting I'm doing, I'm making less palettes before I start, and starting to mix my own colours, I suppose, using that colour mixer. And I'm definitely feeling that the last month or so, maybe a bit longer, I'm developing my style a lot by painting. I do 2 or 3 pieces a week, a couple of sketches, a couple of paintings, or maybe 1 sketch and 2 paintings. Usually 2 paintings a week, and 1 sketch that I make a video, but I do all the sketches as well. And I'm definitely developing a style now that, as if I look back at my old videos and all the paintings I've done, I look at the ones I did a year ago, they're quite different to how I was doing. I thought I was quite loose then, but I'm much looser now. And I'm loving that. I'm loving the fact that I don't have to get bogged down with anatomy and making things absolutely perfect and almost like a photograph. I don't want to be doing that. I just want to stimulate people's imagination and create an emotion with them, with the light and the colour. And I think I'm getting there. I'm really liking what I'm doing. I don't know if anybody else likes it at all or not, but I'm certainly liking the direction I'm going in. I think the series I did on painting in the style of sort of kicked this off, really, looking at John Singer Sargent and one or two of the others, Turner, and just studying those people sort of led the way for it, and it sort of gave me the confidence to certainly experiment more with colour, because I painted with so many different palettes when I was doing that series, that I feel a lot more confident in choosing colours now than I did, and I'm trying to tell a story with the colour and the tones more so than any form of detail or anything like that, if that makes sense. I hope it does. So I'm really enjoying my painting style, and that's probably why you've seen me work so much in Artrage on the iPad lately, even though I've been liking Art Studio Pro and I love Procreate. Both those two apps are excellent. At the minute, Artrage seems to be the one that is really suiting my style, because I'm drifting away from the watercolours. I mean, I spent so much time doing natural watercolours, obviously, with proper paints and paper, and then trying to emulate that digitally. And I feel I've got that now. I can do a fairly realistic watercolour whenever I want. But I'm loving this sort of thick paint approach to paintings and getting a big brush stroke on there and let that tell the story without fiddling and putting in too much detail. And I'm definitely getting better at not fiddling, at stopping. When I get my signature on, usually I work for another hour. I did actually carry on a little bit with this one today once I got the signature on, but not for very long. I just put a few more colours in it that I felt it needed. And I find that what I'm doing, if I work on my iPad, I get a painting that I think looks finished, and I always load it now onto my PC, and I've got quite a big monitor, so I can get the painting almost full size of what I would expect it to print out like, and then I can see if I've missed areas that look really not finished and sort of just look a bit crude, so then I can go back to my iPad. I don't bring them into the PC to paint. I finish them on the iPad, and that's what I did here. I sort of finished it, then looked at it, did the signature, then went back and did a little bit more work on the leaves and things. So yeah, you can see here, I mean, this flat brush is great as well, because especially for stonework, and you can see I'm just sort of using different colours. There is different colours in the stonework of the actual photograph, but not the same. I won't say they're the same colours as what I'm using at all, but I did try to give a colourful interpretation of that. And I'm looking at it now as I'm talking, and you can't see that. There's a signature going on, so I will be going in and start fiddling. Yeah, but I'm liking the light. I think I've caught the light on that wall and on the staircase and on the roof. So I think it's a nice vibrant painting. I'm really pleased with it. I'm pleased with the fact that I'm not worried about detail. And it took, for those that are interested to know how long this took, it took pretty much exactly an hour and a half from start to finish. That's with the fiddling time and making a cups of tea in between, because I do like a cup of tea when I'm working. I think I do wonder if I'm looking at that orange now and I'm liking it, and I wonder if I should have sort of not kept working it. I think maybe I may have put a little bit too much yellow in it in the end, but I'm just sort of adding little bits to those leaves at the minute, and sort of bringing the branches out a little bit more, making them a little bit more defined, but certainly not any major detail. So that is it. That is really close to the end of the painting. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, a big thumbs up as always is much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I have lots and lots and lots of videos like this, and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye.